Last couple weeks we've been working on half guard. This week we're going to transition over into some basics of butterfly. So butterfly, just kind of 101. When my feet are in between his legs, my shins against the inner part of his thighs, that is butterfly guard. There are some variants of it. This is the basic 101 type positioning of it. Couple things. I never want to be flat on my butt or flat on my back. Realize if you're flat on your butt or flat on your back in butterfly guard, you're just wrong. And you're like, Dustin, what about that one? You're wrong. And this is how you live, right? So, you always want to be on one side or the other. I don't care which side you're on, pick a side. But you always want to be on one side. Even when I'm sitting up, I'm still off to one side. Now, from the basic butterfly drill, we're going to work just the first sweep. Then we're going to work a couple variants and a couple other things I like from butterfly guard, all right? So I'm here, I'm in butterfly guard. You're generally going to be hand fighting and fighting for head position. For me, I like my unicorn horn right under his jawline here. Now, I'm generally going to do that on the side I have the underhook on. So I'm going to be looking for an underhook in here. My preference in the pajamas is to grab yourself a piece of something down here. Belt, gi, pants. Don't care what you grab, dealer's choice. If the belt's still tied halfway decent, unlike James's, you grab that. Alright? Now, on the other side, you want to be digging for that overhook. And not just a deep one here. I want to be connected elbow to elbow here to keep him from posting. A lot of people try to dig in here and grab like a collar or some bullshit, like they're going to choke from here. Realize all that does is give him a post. So when I'm here on this, I'm looking to keep that elbow tight on this overhook. Connecting elbow to elbow here. Now, as we fall back, I'm going to fall back onto the overhook shoulder here. Now, a lot of us also have a tendency to be big, strong guys and go, whee! And just kind of throw their partner off with them. You want to control this from start to finish. So when I'm here, I'm hand fighting. Boom, I get my control here. I like to either grab this or snap that elbow down. I'm grabbing here, I'm pulling over, lifting up, and following it. Your goal should be to land and mount maybe 3/4. But you want to have control of it the whole time. If you just toss him off of you with your butterfly lift, all you did was create a scramble. Maybe what you need at times, but definitely not what we should shoot for. So when I'm here, boom, I get here, I keep that elbow tight to his elbow. Makes it much harder for him to post. I elevate, lift, follow. Once you get here, it's secure. I like to keep the underhook and start isolating this arm, head and chest. Start shooting myself up. Like I said, reviewing kind of basic 101 butterfly sweep, but most of us have at least one mistake in our butterfly sweep, if not more. Questions on this?
What is that score if you land in 3/4?
So you're going to land, depends on the tournament. So if the tournament differentiates between side control and passing, is always the big contingency. So some tournaments score what is called side control. So all right, you get past their legs, you land inside, that's 2. Others will consider it passing guard. So that's when you see like the stacking score, like at IBJJFs, where they'll go 2, 4. That would be what that is if you get to mount. Now if you land in 3/4, it's just the 2.
No sweep points there?
No, that would be the sweep points. So depends. If it's a tournament that gives differentiation, sweep, well, you could end up with sweep, pass, mount. Real screwy, just depends on the tournament, what your score system is going to be. Most tournaments, it's going to be 2 sweep, 4 mount. On certain tournaments, it's going to be 2 sweep if you get the 3/4 caught, 2 pass, 4 mount. Not something I worry about intentionally. If I get caught in 3/4 mount, I'm not just like, oh yeah, I get 2 extra points for this, or I don't get. In a tournament, realize that being in dominant position and attacking, as long as you're not giving up stuff, is always going to lead to winning more than not. I would rather you guys lose going for crap than be the I won by an advantage in an 0-0 match where I pulled guard. Those people drive me fucking nuts. So, other questions on this? Well, I'll turn this side. Alright, one more time. Oh, Shadowlack? No. Oh, no, you're good. Alright, so I'm here, pommeling, looking, boom. I get my grip, get my overhook. I scoop myself in that little bit if I feel like I need it. I load him onto the front of my shins. You should be able to balance him here. Sweep. Take that mount. Like I said, I like to keep this arm isolated. For those of you who try to head and arm choke me, it's a great way to not succeed at that. Or I like to start walking it up and looking for things like gift wrap and arm bars. Alright?
Can I ask you a defense question?
Yeah.
If you do get up, like where your scooter's dangling,
Yes.
what's your best move, you know, like,
So, if I'm here, Mr. Hackett doesn't suck at jiu-jitsu, gets me up here, and he starts to go here, I'm looking to come towards that underhook side. It's much harder to sweep through, so I'm trying to open my hips there and come back. Much harder to sweep that direction because you don't have leverage, because it's the overhook. So when he's here and he lifts me, naturally he's going this way because the leverage of this is going this way. But if I'm here, he starts to go there. I'm going to look to get my hips over. You come back towards this leg.
and you just pinch?
Yep. You pinch, then look to pass. It's going to be hard. If you get your ass lifted, it's going to be hard to stop it, though. I'll just be from an honest sense of they get you vertical like that. Bad things are going to start happening pretty quickly, so you better watch your hips. But
Are you hip switching through that, or?
yep, sitting that hip hard to that side, trying to get. Basically, you're trying to redirect your hip weight. They've gotten your hips into the air, and they're trying to go this way. So your entire goal is just to collapse all the weight onto that hip and hope that you've killed the momentum. If they don't suck, it's going to be really hard.
But if you do it right, then you end up in a better position.
Not particularly. They're still going to be in butterfly. They're still going to have their hooks dug. You're still going to have to kill everything else. Let's put it this way. Would not recommend getting lifted as a defensive strategy. All right, 1, 2. Plays in jiu-jitsu, we have to assume our opponent does not totally suck, right? So boom, I get here, I get my head position right, I go to start sweeping, but James recognizes that immediately and he's going to go to post this arm. As soon as I go to sweep, boom, he's going to go to post that arm. That's great. All we're going to do is re-bite with our knees. So when we're here, we're initially pulling up and then over. On this one, we're going to pull up, go to start going over, we feel that post, re-pull your knees to your chest. So I'm here, I gotta go, I re-pull here. As soon as you feel that, boom, I want to keep here, but I want to leave this arm behind, shoulder pinch here, I want to pop this arm out if I can. Here. Simple head control. So we're here, I'm working with James. Boom. Let's go to get in good position. Boom. Bop. Here. Go in the other direction. For those of you who have wrestled, this is the false headlock. Same concept. You go to throw somebody, it doesn't work. Whip that to the other side. Very similar concept to that. So I'm here. Boom. I'm hand fighting, doing things. Boom. I go to sweep. Bop. Doesn't work. Bop. Just changing that direction. Boom. Regaining control of that head and switching your hips. So we're here. I go to bite. It doesn't work, right? I go to sweep here. That post is there. I re-bite my knees and follow it over.
I feel like when they both flatten me out a lot, so I'm trying to get back to the hip. Are you using more of your to get that momentum, or are you using your hips?
Knees. So when you're here, if you feel like you're going flat in your that butterfly sweep because you're sweeping this way, your initial sweep should be here. Like this shoulder blade should almost never hit in a true butterfly sweep. So when you re-bite, boom, that's what allows you to go is that little bit of a hip switch and that knee pull. Does that make sense? For sure. That would be the diagnosis, I would guess. I'll watch. But when you fall back this side, you should be all but in a shrimp position. Like, you should be here. Because if I fall back, I've killed all my momentum. It's really hard to turtle yourself out of this. But where when I'm here, wow, I still have a lot of mobility versus when you're flat. Does that make sense?
When you're swimming up that arm,
Yeah.
are you still attacking that elbow?
Always. I'm always going to attack you with joints for two reasons. One, if I can hyperextend to my win. So if I chop your elbow and you don't move your hand, sucks to suck. We didn't have to be friends anyway. But two, always going to be the weakest point of a post. It's going to be either at the wrist or at the elbow. So, always attacking joints.
When you're, for the arm that's attacking the head, are you coming up and rubbing under the armpit, or are you just kind of let that play?
Looking for that just to scoop the head. I'm not really looking for like the far side under armpit or anything like that. This should be quick enough that you land on top before you could have ever established that. Should be the ideal world we all do. Other questions on this? Here with James. Boom, we get here. Boom, I bite here. Boom, my knees come in. Here, here. Bop. Bop. Hopefully you end up somewhere in between mount, 3/4, combat mount. It's going to be a decent option that you land in here. Gives you that nice take the back, take the mount option, which I like. Other questions on this? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to teach you savages how to attack some feet. Always fun. It's becoming a bigger and bigger part of the game, especially basically starting in blue belt and up, everyone's foot locking. So I can be the old man that yells at the cloud and is like, back in my day, foot locks were dirty and no one did them. Or I can, move on with the times like James and be a dirty footlocker. So I'm here, boom. But let's say this time I keep his elbow collapsed, but James is going to post that foot up. Stop. That's great. A lot of people are going to do that. We're going to do two things kind of simultaneously. One, I'm going to lift him up on my overhook or my underhook side. My overhook leg is going to shoot under and come up. As I'm doing that, my goal is to scoop his ankle and put it in my armpit. So I'm here and here. Now, when I get here, a couple of details that are wildly important, especially in a comp setting. Also in a training setting, just so you don't blow your friend's knees out. Your foot cannot go past his hip. You can put it in his hip, but the second it goes past here, you are ripping your friend's ACLs and you're disqualified from 99% of tournaments. Especially if you're wearing pajamas. Alright? So, it can either go into the hip or pinch knees. Alright? 2, when I get this here, I want his toesies right on the back of my armpit here. Not way deeper, not way shorter, right here on the back of my armpit. So when I go here, here. So as I'm here with James, he resets. Boom, I sit up. I go to scoop, here. I lift him, scoop under, here. Now, as we come here, I am always going to look to set James on his off leg that I'm not attacking. You'll learn this as we start working on foot locks. The #1 defense for James is get this other leg engaged. Cross your feet, do other things, post, kick out. 90% of the defense is start with that leg. So our goal is always going to be to turn him flat so that he falls on that. Now, once we're here, I'm going to very slowly, because I like James, put the trigger of my thumb right on his Achilles. I'm going to flash my elbow, hips forward. Now, if your foot comes across, you have officially reached, and you will be disqualified. So if you're not confident in your ability to keep your foot in the hip, I don't care how you do it, pinch the knee. Alright? Questions on this? We're gonna walk through a bunch of stuff. We're gonna get some of the initial questions out.
If your foot accidentally slips into the reaping,
You're reaping.
and you let it go and it not.
The second it crosses the hip line, alright, I'll say this. 90% of tournaments, the second it crosses your hip line, unless the ref actively catches James pushing. And even then it's 50-50. You're defeated. So that is why you'll see me, unless it's pros or experts or absolutes where everything's legal, I don't reap at all or even put that foot in the hip. I will go pinch the knee. It's just a safety, protect myself thing. Which makes it where it's a lot harder to DQ me there than it would be otherwise. Other questions on this one? Alright, so I'm here with James. Boom, I go to sweep, he posts, I boom, come up, bring it here. Once I'm here, I'm always going to look to pinch the knees, elbow down, hips forward, shoulders back. If you're feeling like, and I'm gonna let go of James for a second, if you're here and you're like, ah, and you're having to really crank, realize your ankle, it's locked wrong. You need to adjust. It should be no more than just that little bit of a boom. If not, like if you're way up in the calf, I can crank on James all day. It's a little uncomfortable in his calf, but he's not gonna tap to this. Or if his foot's too deep, like James will put on his boot here, he just won't be able to finish it. So you need to be able to feel those toes right on the back of my armpit, collapse that elbow down, drive the hips forward. Alrighty?
First, you have to be above his knees, correct? When you're pitching?
Yes. You want to either be knee to knee or above. Yes.
The second thing is, for the Achilles, you can slide down on it like you can with a straight arm bar, correct?
Correct. You can slide into it. It's going to make it a little bit harder, but yes, if you feel like, hey, I'm not sure where my wrap needs to be, if I'm here with James, just give me a boom. If I'm here, I'm always looking to kind of put the trigger of my thumb right under the ball of his foot.
So you're trying to get the ball.
Yeah, just where you see where James's arch is right here? That is where I'm trying to rest the crook of my wrist. Here. That is what's going to give you the blade of that wrist in that Achilles right there is going to be what makes that lock more efficient. So when I'm here, that's why when I collapse here, it's already in. All I have to do is extend that a little bit. So yeah, and what Norm was pointing out, when I'm here, I do not want to have my knees below his knees. I, at a minimum, have to be equal. Preferred, I want good thigh control, so for me, I'm gonna tuck that foot right under his butt, pinch here. That's gonna give me the control I want if I need to adjust, or if I'm savage enough to start attacking other things. So as I'm here and you can start passing, coming to heels, coming to toes, all that stuff works off of having a good bite and having good control. All right? Questions on this? Get to the position slowly. Now I will reiterate this. Everyone do this. Everyone roll your ankles. See how everyone can do that well except for Kat? As long as everyone else can do that well when we leave class today, we'll continue learning foot locks. If not, I'll start punching people in the throat. Ready? 1, 2, 3.